I watch and review one Detective Conan movie a week until the release of the brand new film in April 2024. I'll tell you what the movie is about, the good, the bad, and anything else interesting of note. And at the end of each video, I rank the movies watched in the tier list to see exactly which films are the best in the series. And today we will be reviewing the 6th film, Detective Conan, The Phantom of Baker Street. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. The Phantom of Baker Street premiered in Japanese theaters on April 20th, 2002 and is directed by Kenji Kodama, but this time is written by Hisashi Nozawa, an acclaimed mystery novelist who tragically committed suicide in 2004, just 2 years after this film's release. The movie follows Conan and the gang participating in a virtual game set in Victorian-era London to catch and unveil the infamous serial killer Jack the Ripper. The game, however, is hijacked by a rogue computer program called Noah's Ark, who threatens to kill all the participants in the real world if the mystery isn't solved. Conan must now solve 2 mysteries at once if he has any hope of saving his friends. This movie for the longest time has had the reputation of being everyone's favorite Conan movie. Every top 10 list, every ranking list, more often than not, cites Phantom as one of the best in the series. And what do I think of the film after watching it? It's don't get me wrong, it's definitely a good movie, but I do have an issue with 2 major deductions at the end of the film that kinda derails everything the movie was building up to. Stay tuned to find out what that is. Now, the film from the get-go shows that it's going to be a very different movie from the previous films. Firstly, it starts off super dark as we see for the first time in a Conan movie a suicide attempt, and by a kid no less, which is very ironic and ominous because of who was behind writing it. But yeah, I hope you didn't expect a happy-go-lucky intro with the detective boys or a cute Ron and Conan moment. We got a suicide to show. And also, for the first time in these movies, we don't have a whodunit type mystery. Instead, we have a howdunit, because we know exactly who the killer is from the start, but it's all about our characters piecing together how the killer has committed his murder, which is quite different. And the setting in Victorian-era London was such a fantastic stage for this movie to take place. I mean, just look at some of these locations. The glow from the lamps blanketing the entire landscape in this creepy orange hue, the faint smog everywhere, Victorian-era structures, it all looks just so good. Fun fact, this movie is also the final film in the franchise to use traditional animation, which sucks because some of these still frames are just beautiful art to look at. And to make it even more fun, this Victorian London blends together reality and fiction, which means real life Jack the Ripper along with fictitious characters like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty. I mean, come on! This is a mystery fan's wet dream. So we've got everything set for an all-time great Conan movie, am I right? Well, here's where the movie falters for me. The mystery. The real-world mystery of Yusaku Kudo and Thomas Schindler was fine, if not a little basic. Just a simple murder foiled by fingerprints. Nothing amazing, but serviceable. But it's the mystery in the virtual world involving Conan and Jack the Ripper where it doesn't work. Conan manages to narrow down the suspects to these people on the train. Gee, I wonder who it could be. Surely it's not the lady with the Victorian accurate neon pink hair. We learn that Jack the Ripper and one of his victims are actually related as son and mother. And then Ron, with no evidence whatsoever, suggests that Jack still had love for his mother despite killing her, which must mean he's been wearing the ring found at the crime scene for most of his adult life, leading to his deformed finger, which eventually rats out, shocker, the pink-haired lady boy as Jack. This deduction is baseless and is just pure assumption. Just because the event Jack killed his mom at was a parent-child bazaar does not definitively mean Jack loved his mother. He could have had a number of different motives for killing his mom at the bazaar. Revenge, or to insult her, or to insult the church. They also mentioned that Jack the Ripper killed other random victims to throw the police off his true goal of only wanting to murder his mom. Okay then, Mr. Ripper, how about you just don't leave the rings at all? all, why leave the rings there knowing that a character such as Sherlock Holmes exists in this world to hunt you down with even the tiniest bit of evidence? And also, assuming that Jack would wear his mother's gifted ring without ever taking it off, to the point where his finger got deformed? Are you serious? They have no evidence whatsoever to support that Jack the Ripper wore the ring for most of his adult life. It was just based off of their belief that Jack loved his mother enough to wear the ring, which in itself is also just an assumption. It honestly feels like a cop-out considering we had very sound and grounded clues before this, and we just get cheated at the end with assumptions taken as gospel. It didn't feel rewarding as an audience member at all trying to figure out this mystery, knowing it's all going to be overridden by people leaping to conclusions. The action scenes in this film are also a major step down from the much more thrilling Countdown to Heaven. We just get a train fight that's not honestly that exciting. The bombing of the opera house was cool, but it was over too quickly. Despite these flaws, however, I do understand why a lot of people consider this their favorite. The movie from the get-go establishes that this will be a very different type of Conan film than what we've seen before. It finally pushes into the more fantastical elements with famous fictitious characters like Sherlock Holmes. We have the video game aspect of it, which was probably a very refreshing idea for the time, and just the allure of trying to uncover the identity of the real-life unsolved case of Jack the Ripper. I'm sure was a very spicy enough hook to entice people to watch. I know I certainly was hooked by the premise when I first heard it, but I just can't overlook that botched deduction at the end, and no amount of beautiful window dressing can change the fact that the mystery in this one was just okay at best and shoddy at its worst. In my opinion, better than movie 4, but not as solid and well-rounded as movie 1. And with that, The Phantom of Baker Street is going in the middle of B tier. Stay tuned next week for Movie 7, Detective Conan, Crossroad of the Ancient Capital. I'll see you all then. Bye bye.